ReliaQuest mental performance coaches Dr. Nicole Detling and Derin McMains interview top performers across multiple industries to unpack the strategies and the mindset they use to get the job done. Welcome to No Show Dogs, powered by ReliaQuest. Hey, welcome back to the No Show Dogs podcast, powered by ReliaQuest. My name's Derin McMains. I'm our director of mental performance here at ReliaQuest. I'm joined by our founder and CEO, Brian Murphy. Murph, what's going on?
D-Mac, good to see you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, all right. Just real quick, we haven't got a golf update. Just how are things going? You know, we try to do this about once a quarter, check in. How's the game?
I'm definitely playing better. Scores aren't coming down. I have a repeatable swing. I feel better. My short game better. I'm better 150 yards and in than I am 150 yards and out. I have this thing longer than 150 yards where I feel like I got to will that club to hit the ball, and you know, and it's a game of opposites. So the longer the club and the different you don't have to swing as hard, right? But I find myself trying to hit the ball more outside of 150 yards. But if when I get kind of in a good rhythm, a tempo, and just remind myself to stay calm and be confident over every shot, right? Then I can do great things. But I'll like par 4 holes in a row and then triple 4 holes in a row, and but golf. Look, it's fun, and I'm enjoying it. I've met some fantastic people, and it gives me something. It helps me clear my head, so I've enjoyed it a lot.
Sure. Well, I think about last month when we talked about ruthless simplicity. Yeah. And so just for advice, let's keep it simple out on the golf course. You know what I mean?
One thought, right? One thought, one or two thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you start to get 3 or 4, and that's actually it's why I love it, because you're so multiple in business all the time. In any given day, you got a lot going on around you, but when you step onto that course and you really want to play well, you got to limit 1 or 2 things. You can't have a bunch of outside distractions. So it's almost it's a type of meditation, right? If you think about meditating as failing to meditate, it's failing to not think about anything. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. Golf, to me, is a similar exercise where I get out of my rhythm. I'm not following my setup, or I'm not following my routine, and I got to bring it back. Yeah. So
I love it.
I end every round really frustrated but weirdly relaxed.
I think a lot of people would share that about golf. It's an interesting
The gear
game.
is great. I mean, I'm really good at they joke at the golf club I play all the time, like, Murph may play from the white tees on the course, but he plays from the tips at the pro shop. So I'm good at the gear. So,
I like that. I haven't heard that before. Hey, today I want to talk about, one, the impact of Trevor Moawad on ReliaQuest here, but specifically around mental performance, because I think, a lot of people will see like, oh, ReliaQuest has mental performance coaches, or they got a team of 4 there now. Look at what they're doing. But mental performance has been a part of ReliaQuest from close to the beginning. I mean, you connected with Trevor around 2013-ish, right? Yeah. And one of the things that I know you've shared with me, I've heard Trevor say as well, but is one of your favorite sayings is, make the big time where you are. In fact, I want to play a clip just real quick on Trevor's keynote when he was here at ReliaQuest several years ago on where he highlights this idea. Play the clip here. All right, and here's what he says. I'll just read it to you, Murph. He said, before I could ever stand up in front of the Miami Dolphins football team at 21 years old, I had to stand up in front of the junior varsity team at North Broward Prep in Florida. And that was the most important thing in my life, because that's what I was doing. You can't wait to get to a certain level and then decide to behave a certain way. It's your behaviors that will get you to that level. Make the big time where you are. So when you hear that, when you hear Trevor say that, like, what does that mean to you? And why is it so important for an entrepreneur?
What was interesting is when I can remember talking to Trev about this, and when he said it, it summed up really how I've kind of approached everything I've done, right? Whether I was bagging groceries at Publix, that was the most important thing I'd ever done, right? Or any job, any task, hanging flagpoles for the PGA Tour, and using an auger and post hole diggers and balancing those things and filling them with concrete with my buddy Greg in a certain way. And, that was the most important thing. And I think that the mistake that I see made, I see with entrepreneurs, and I see it just people in their everyday jobs and careers. And I'll start with somebody maybe even coming out of school or being in college. If you're waiting for the next job to be as good as you're capable of being, it may never show up, right? And opportunity builds on other opportunities. So I kind of think about that, the bars in the playground, the monkey bars in the playground, right? So, if the fourth bar looks interesting to you, the only way you're going to get there is reach for the bar in front of you. So if you don't take it, and for Trev, it was that North Broward prep, right? If he didn't take advantage of North Broward prep, doesn't matter if he wanted to talk to the Miami Dolphins one day. That opportunity, that next bar is not going to get there. And I'm just a big believer. I tell people all the time is like, don't be thinking about the next thing you want to do until you're world class in the thing you're doing right now. So don't worry about next until you own the now. And enough people don't do that every day. A lot of people don't think I got to be great today, and I need to be great in my practice, great in my preparation, and then I'll be great in my execution. And don't just say, well, no, we'll just breeze through this and I'll be good tomorrow. Well, you never know. The projector may not work. The person may not show. You never know. So just take everything that you do, be where, make the big time where you are. If that moment is important to you, you will know how to perform in important moments. If the moment you're in is never important and it's always some future moment, if you ever get to that future moment, which normally you won't know how to perform. And I think that's if we kind of go back to golf, I played in a competition. I had played in pro-ams, and I get invited to play, and I'm nervous before I play because I'm not a great player. And then, it never really matters, though, because you're just playing against yourself. Well, I played in a tournament in November, and it was like a rivalry tournament. It's like the Florida State versus Florida, right? And this time it mattered. I was playing with a partner, and I had the score, and I was playing for, the Garnet and Goals, playing for the Seminole logo, right? And it got to me. It bothered me, and now that changes how I play and how I practice because I need to put myself under some sort of pressure, right? And I think if you don't make the moment you're in the big time, you're never going to be able to perform in the big time. Like you're building muscle, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah. Such a great point because I think about if you think something else is the big time, and then when and if you ever get there, which my guess is you probably won't, but when you get there, you probably will choke because it will feel different because what you've done before was quote unquote never the big time, right? So all of a sudden you talk yourself up into this future state, and then you finally get to that future state, and then you're there and you're like, oh, this is it. This is the moment, right? Versus you go back to, I think about my time with the Giants in 2010, we won our first World Series since the team had moved to San Francisco. Madison Bumgarner got called up that year, and he's 19 years old. So at 20 years old, he's pitching in Texas in the World Series at 20 years old, right? Shoves, pitches great, right? We win, we end up, winning the World Series. But I remember what he said after the game that kind of always, it kind of crystallized this idea too around make the big time where you are, because they said, man, you had such composure out there. Like, wow, that was amazing. You're on the road, 20 years old, World Series, then you pitch like it was nothing. And he goes, well, so I pitched in my high school state championship, and that was a really big deal. I pitched in the high A championship in the minor leagues when I was in San Jose, and that was a pretty big deal. And this was just another big deal. So, but it goes to that point, right? Yeah. Where it's like, be where your feet are, kind of like we talked before. We say that a lot around here, but it's like, make the big time where you are. If this is the most important thing, then every situation always feels the same. So when the situation feels the same, then your performance will ultimately be more consistent, right?
And if you apply yourself and you push yourself, no matter what it is, no matter if it's big to somebody else and not big to you, but wherever you are, go all in, like play it wide open. And you need to get used to playing wide open because that's really a trust that you form with yourself. That's a risk-taking thing. And if you write off everything you're in, and I'm not going to try at this because this isn't that big of a deal. Then that's really kind of how you think about yourself, right? If no moment is big enough, then you're really saying you're not important enough, right? Mm. So have enough self-respect, and if that's hard to do because people I don't want to act all self-important. All right, then have enough respect for the people in that room in that moment.
Sure.
And what Trev was basically saying is that North Prep School he had enough respect for the people in that room to take his preparation serious, to let that be the moment and let it be big time. So sometimes you might have to use the people you're around, like, hey, out of respect for this moment I'm going into, even if it's one that you don't think is that important, because, you know, whether you have an imposter complex or whatever it is, you don't, hey, this isn't that big of a deal. Or, well, make it a big deal out of respect for the people in the room. Yeah. And I say this to my son's 16, my daughter's 19, my daughter's in college, experience a lot of new things, and so is he. I always say, hey, put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. Raise your hand. You know, sign yourself up to give a speech in front of your sorority or in front of your band or your team, or, you know, raise your hand. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because those are your past performances are the things that you're going to draw on the next moment that you step in. So I think if you can make it about the people that are in the room with you, that allows you to rise to the moment and make it big time, because you want to do it for them, and that may help people more so than, hey, I need to, this is important because I'm important. However you need to get there, find your fuel.
No Show Dogs is brought to you by ReliaQuest, a global leader in cybersecurity. ReliaQuest helps enterprise cybersecurity teams increase visibility, reduce complexity, and manage risk through its security operations platform, Gray Matter. Powered by decades of experience and streamlined by AI and automation, ReliaQuest exists to make security possible. Learn more at ReliaQuest.com. When we talk about performance, the more often you give your best, then your best will get better, right? But you keep raising the level of what your best looks like every time you give your best, right? And so again, just another reason why it matters so much to make the big time where you are. And I want to talk about one more thing as we kind of wrap up here. And I love, you've said this several times, the career, well, first, you don't like career paths. You hate the word career. Gosh. You hate that phrase, right? Career path.
Career path and years of experience.
Yeah. But the one thing that I've heard you say before is the career path is dominating your role.
Yeah.
That's the career path. That's the career. So why don't you like career paths? We'll say that first. And then why is it so important? I think people are picking up on it, but just to really hammer this point down, why is it so important to dominate in your role?
I would say too many people manage their careers, manage my career, manage my title, manage, it's usually title, it's usually comp, it's usually the view of the outside world. No, dominate the opportunity in front of you. If you become known as the person on a team that whatever comes across your desk, you absolutely obliterate it. You're not managing anything. You're not strategically making sure. It's like Hamilton, I want to be in the room where it happens. No, when someone gives me the opportunity, I'm going to crush it, and the next opportunity will present itself. And that's really how we've grown ReliaQuest around here, of hey, be world-class in now, and next we'll find you. We will come find you. Because what you're doing is when you try to manage your career path, in my opinion, people may differ, and I'm sure there's some management consultants out there that differ, but this is just my world. In tech and in what I've experienced in my life in entrepreneurship and doing anything, there's no path. There's no path. But if I didn't dominate the opportunity we had in 2007, and we didn't dominate in 8 and 9 and 10, these other opportunities wouldn't have presented themselves. Now, I couldn't have sketched the growth pattern from 2007 to where we are today. Couldn't have. A lot of what we're doing today didn't exist 10 plus years ago, right? So if you're trying to manage something, you might limit what you get exposed to. Yeah, you may end up what you're managing, but you could have had opportunity knocking to go to turn left or turn right, or to go to a whole different path. So when you try to manage a path, I do think you limit the variety of things that, of finding where you may actually dominate and be better at. So that word manage, you don't want to manage expectations. You don't want to manage expectations of anything. You don't want to manage some career path. You don't like that. You're trying to control things that aren't controllable. What I can control is the effort in the moment I'm in, and the degree to which I pounce on that opportunity and work my tail off. And that next opportunity that presents itself, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to strategize with it. I don't need a life coach. I don't need a career coach. I'm going to jump on that opportunity. I'm going to do it till I can't do it anymore. And then I'm going to jump on the next opportunity, right? And that's a lot of people like, hey, how'd you navigate or how'd you get to where you are? Well, an opportunity presents itself. I did that really well. And then another one came, and then another one came. And then guess what? We were able to make payroll. And then it worked out pretty well. We just kept jumping towards the next opportunity.
Yeah, well, as you were saying that, I was thinking about my quote-unquote career path, right? Like, this was not a part of it. In fact, I didn't have one, it was, can I get to the big leagues as a baseball player? No. Okay. What can I do it as a coach, manager? Yeah. Okay. Well, I got there as a coach, right? And so it's like, okay. But then after that, I'm like, I'm just going to be the best at what I do, or try to, right? Give the best I can wherever I'm at. And that's how we got connected. Was Trevor called me. I was at the SeaTac Airport, Seattle Tacoma baggage claim. In fact, I remember, like, bags are coming through. Trevor
checking bags, a lot of risk in that.
There is. I've learned the hard way. Obviously, I haven't learned. I still do it every now and then. But yeah, baggage claim. And then Trevor calls me because he's doing more work with Russell Wilson at the time, and he's not able to make it down to Scottsdale at.
Yeah, they were starting Limitless Minds.
Yeah. So he wasn't able. So he called and said, "Hey, you want to come over and speak to this cybersecurity company? They're they're a little bit smaller, but they're growing." And I'm like, well, I don't know anything, dude. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, you'll get. I mean, it's 5 minutes from your house. Just trust me. They're your type of people. And I'm like, because I trust Trevor so much, right? And I know he doesn't work with people that want to get better. Like, he's not going to waste his time working. And so I'm like, well, if Trev's working with him and he's been with him for a few years, and he's like, no, trust me, these are good. Like, these are your type of people. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it, right? Again, no idea what I was getting into, but I remember, like, sweating, pining over this, like talking with Bird, my wife, like, I don't know, like, what are they going to like? What should I share? And all this kind of stuff. And I remember meeting you all, going and doing it. And now here we are 6-ish years later. Yeah. No Show Docs podcast. Like, what are we doing? But it again goes back to the point of, like, what I do know is if I wouldn't have taken that opportunity, one, or if I wouldn't have given my best at that time, because I was like, it's just a cybersecurity company, I'm a baseball guy or whatever. Like, I didn't limit myself in that. I was like, no, like, this is the group. There's an expectation here. I'm going to give them the best that I got, give them all that I have, with no intent of ever joining full. I was just trying to do my buddy a solid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got you, Trev, and I'm just going to go do the best I can more for him, right? And then here we are. So again, just highlights the importance of, no matter what opportunity you're given, no matter what task it is, like, if you really want to just see how much potential you can exhaust out of yourself, it's really on you to truly make the big time where you are.
100%. I mean, it's you don't know what that next opportunity is going to be. So if you take the current one for granted, you may never know. You may never see it. It may never present itself. And you just got to show up and show up big, right?
Yeah.
And that's it makes it more fun too. I mean, you learn something from every audience. You learn something from every opportunity. And you can burn a lot of cycles just trying to manage the expectations of others, or, script something that, some path that you need to follow. And whether you're, I don't know, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, success is never a straight line. Happiness is never a straight line. And that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I can tell you what, Trev's impact still felt around here, right? Just his ability to put complex things simply and put them in an impactful way,
and to care about others and to connect.
Yeah,
right? A lot of guys like him wouldn't have connected you to us, and he knew, hey, I'm trying to go build this thing. You guys are demanding more of my time. That's demanding more of my time. It's the best thing for both.
Sure.
Let's go broaden the scope, and he created opportunities for others, and that's the beautiful part of Trev.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I love this. Make the big time where you are. I love what you said. Be world class now, and next will find you. And as always, Murph, thanks for joining us today on the No Show Docs podcast.
Appreciate you.
Yep, go make it a great today.